It
If it ain't
must
Tuesday,
be. It must be Tuesday.
it got to be
Must
Tuesday. We in the building, son. You know.
exactly. We're here.
Down in Sports Talk in the house, you already know what it is. Left-handed right here at RM Desk on Twitter, which is this right now. And my Cody is always in the house representing to the fullest. She came out in her full attire from the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. That's how they will be recognized herein, thereafter, and all that good stuff. Y'all the Bears in the house. What's good,
What's going
Browski?
on?
Let's get it popping. What's happening?
Oh man, not for much. Just getting ready for Thursday. Thursday night football. Yeah, your reigning, defending Super Bowl champion will be live in color on your TV screens for your all can enjoy what we have come to see, as the norm. You guys will be able to enjoy this show that we're going to put on Thursday.
And the
I
way
know. I
things
got to
been moving
start
the last
early.
few weeks, y'all better put a show on.
Oh, don't worry. We're going to get our get back. We're getting our lick back. But,
Okay, that's what it is. Go ahead.
that's Thursday. Um,
Mm-hmm.
this past weekend, we have been surrounded by nothing but college football. Falls in the air. College football back on the screen. And we're going to do what we do best and talk about these week one rankings. Week for, after the outcome of week one, some teams, didn't live up to the hype. Some teams, um, surprisingly got their butt kicked. We had a
Mm.
coaching debut, you know. We had all sorts of things come out in week one already. This fairly young college football season. Um, I already know what the highlight, of your week one, was.
Absolutely.
That
That's right.
Miami Hurricane victory over Notre Dame, aka Catholics versus the convicts, 2025
Mm-hmm.
version of that. And it was a good game. I didn't have a dog in the fight. It was a really good game. Um, some questionable calls by
Yes.
Notre
Let's
Dame
go,
coach,
Browski. Yep.
make you want to question, because before the season started, he was one of the college coaches that was, high on the list of, possibly making that jump to the NFL, and seeing him coach in this game, there's always going to be some questionable calls, but he kind of made a couple ones that's like, I don't know about that, buddy. Like, like, why would you do that? And it's like, did you, consult with your, your coordinators before you made that call? Like, or you just
You talk
flying
about
off?
Marcus Freeman, Notre
Marcus
Dame.
Freeman, yeah, and it was like some people may say that he cost the team the game by some of his calls, but I'm like, well, he's still not on the field. You know, they still have to execute. Certain plays, and it all wasn't just his play calling. Miami played a hell of a game. Carson, back,
Beck.
debut in Miami. He went from Georgia to Miami, and it wasn't like, oh, he's amazing. It was like, all right,
Yeah.
he's a steady. He looked like a professional back there. He kept his composure. He didn't really make really any like big mistakes. Um, he put the ball where the ball needed to go. He kept he kept the pace of the game at a good level for Miami, and all their skills position guys basically lived up to the hype right now. So Miami's looking good coming out the start. How do you feel about your game?
Well, I appreciate it. I don't, as you know, if you met, rock with me, I'm not one of those Miami is back dudes, right? This was a game had a lot of history behind it. Both teams coming into this game good, top 10 teams, two top 10 teams, you know what I'm saying? And they lived up to all the expectations for me. I'm, in front of the TV, like imploring my boys to get it popping. When you were talking about the calls, you know what I think you thought you was talking about, Kimmy? Was the referees. Because, like,
Yeah, yeah, they was a little
oh no
questionable.
no no
They
no
were,
no! You're right about the Freeman thing, but I just thought the referee. I was like, come on, son,
yeah,
what
it's the
is we
first
doing?
game. I'm like, what are we doing?
Yeah,
Yeah,
like, and
yeah,
then you had the quarterback for Notre Dame throws the ball, it gets popped up in the air, it's deflected in the air. It's all type of crazy things was going on, which you expect in a Miami Notre Dame game. Um, for me, Browski as being the one who witnessed the game, like really, the game in '88, the anticipation was like 10 times as high as it was for this game right here, and it lived up to the expectations. The hype when I first found out, I said Miami and Notre Dame is going to play the first game of the season. Oh hell no, this is going to be it right here. But it all was based on what Miami was going to do with Carson Beck coming from Georgia. I kind of felt a little better being that we got somebody to replace Cam Ward. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
that way we can kind of like keep the offense moving. We got some receivers. The defense stepped up for Miami. You know what I mean? But I just think that whatever we do going forward, this game is not the be all, the end all. I would have much rather had this game. It would have meant more to have it at the end of the season, but in the beginning of the season, they do what they do. Um, we showed up. We gave, we took, right? It almost got took from us. But this is like the beginning of Miami. We're gonna see where we're at right now. I had them ranked last week. I had Miami ranked eighth. Wasn't gonna jump out the window, right? I had Miami ranked eighth. I had Notre Dame ranked fifth last week. So I said, hey, you know what? The way Notre Dame played, if they'd have won that game, I wouldn't have been mad. It was a classic. It was an instant classic, Kimmy, right? So I put Miami where I think Miami needs to be. And I dropped Notre Dame, but not totally all the way out the picture, but they got dropped nonetheless, right? But we'll get into that later. But about the game, the atmosphere was hype. Michael Irvin going berserk on the sidelines. You know what I mean? My man with the Odell Beckham
my God,
NCAA joint catch.
yes.
That was really a great catch. I mean,
Well, he
come
saved
on.
the pick
You
because
know what
that
I
was a
mean?
pick. That was a clear pick. That was going
Mm,
to be an
mm.
interception, and he definitely saved
But
that with
I
that.
feel like, Carson Beck, you mentioned Carson Beck played like, he knows how to play in big games. He's been in national championships and college
Hmm.
football playoffs and things of that nature. So he knows what he brings to the table. I just was hoping that, Miami could really show up. You know what I mean? Because, to some people, that AP and coaches ranking, with Notre Dame 6th and Miami's 10th, that means something. You know what I'm saying? So again, at the end of the day, I just wanted Miami to represent, win, lose, or draw, because we know it's gonna be a long season. And that loss to Notre Dame, if we would have lost in a close game, it would have helped us down the line, because it wouldn't have been
Yeah,
like we lost or had a close game against, you know, Little Sisters of the Poor or something. That loss would have meant something, and it still means something to Notre Dame. It's going to help them. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So again, that win. Let's go. Let's move on. It's over and done with. Let's move on to next week and do our thing until we get to that Florida game, which is going to be, we're back at the, yelling at the TV thing again. But week one, Browski, let's get into the ones who didn't really do so good, because this is where I'm at with it. You know what I mean? You go ahead and talk. You know what I mean? Describe how you feel about it, and I'm gonna describe how I feel about it with the teams that
Well,
lost.
I mean, if you guys follow us, like you should be, you were
Like you
seeing
should
that
be. Word up.
you were seeing that we hopped on real quick on Saturday, you know
Hmm. It's on the Facebook
to
page.
talk about what happened in earlier games, and we definitely had to discuss that Texas um, and Georgia game. Texas #1 overall seed, super hype about Arch Manning, and it definitely was a flatline. It was very lackluster on his end. Now you can argue that you know Georgia defense was just amazing. It was
Ohio
really
State.
good. It was really good. I'm not gonna front on that. The addition of Matt Patricia, as the defense coordinator. Yeah, I do expect their defense to look a lot better than it did last year, and it definitely did. But also, I gotta look at Shark. I gotta look at Steve Sarkisian. You are an offensive
Mm-hmm.
minded coach. You've been coaching forever on different levels, and this is the performance that you give us, the offense that we've been waiting all off season to see. It was very vanilla offense, no pun intended. It wasn't a lot of motion. There wasn't a lot of end arounds. You have these this fantastic running back, and he had 16 carries for 80 yards, but it was just like straight like downhill running. I didn't see like no real like halfback option. I didn't see no um you know just one pass option. You have Arch, who's a mobile quarterback. Also, you didn't put him in a position where he was running the ball, or no moving pocket. It was just like he was very like stationary back there, and I think that's probably why he was unsuccessful. Like he wasn't comfortable back there. He looked out of his comfort zone. So hopefully we'll see some improvement with him. I'm pretty sure we will. It's only week 1, so I'm not going to jump out the window. Um, Also, besides Texas, I think the biggest disappointment of the weekend for me is
Mm-hmm.
Clemson. Clemson
That makes two of us.
all off season. Everybody's throwing this in our face. Clemson can have the potential of being undefeated, the #4 team in the country. I'm like, Clemson at 4? I was like, you know,
That didn't age well. Mm-hmm.
yeah, like Clemson at 4. I was like, wow, that's wild for Clemson to
Yeah,
be at number
that's right.
4,
That's
and
right.
you know, out the gate, you #4 going against LSU #9 at home, and you put up 10 points. Where's that offense? Where's that Clemson firepower that I was looking forward to see? LSU went down there and shut all that down. Now don't get me wrong, it was a good game. It was, but I expected more for Clemson because of all of the hype that has been programming all season. I mean, you even have your coach go on ESPN and other platforms and say, yeah, this is one of the best Clemson teams that I had, and you can go undefeated. And I'm thinking like, wow, so he didn't have Deshaun Watson on his team before. He didn't win a national championship with that squad. That was a really, really good squad. It seemed like he put the horse before the cart, as my partner would say.
And you know this, man.
But other than that, typical Alabama letdown. Um, I was disappointed in North Carolina showing. You know, I expected more from Bill Belichick. I didn't expect him to put up what did they put up 45 on him, 46, something like that on him. I did not expect that. But what do you what game was for you?
Funny. You should ask. Where do we start? See, here's the thing. Down in sports talk, man. Down in sports, man. Myself, Yada Bear, right? Shout out to the Most
Yes.
High. Shout out to Florida Boy Jay. That's who need to be up there. Now, matter of fact, I'm no Florida Boy Jay don't need to be up there, right?
Nah, because
But
he gonna let you know.
yeah, listen. Um, we're talking about teams that Browski and myself and Yada Bear, Browski, had to listen all spring, summer long about how this team is going to do this. This team got this quarterback, Klubnik, who's supposed to be the truth. They got the squad, whoop de woo, no pun intended, yada, 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 yada. Right? Myself, left handed, at RM Des on Twitter, which is this right now. And Yada Bear, Browski, aka High Ceilings, aka Rain, Sleet, Hail, Snow, and all that. We was laughing at that. You got all these high priced prognosticators, all these writers, all these announcers, all these former players, all of this and all of that. And we just sit here in the cut and do what we do. We look at it how it is, not how you think it should be, how you think it should be, or how it should be, or how it might be. No, we're going to tell you how it is. And then how we say it on the block, how it TI is. You understand? So, Clemson, we were trying to figure out putting heads together and all that because we're not no dummies. Why? What was the attraction? What was the bringing you back to Clemson and saying Clemson was going to run roughshod through the ACC, run roughshod through their schedule, run roughshod through the college football playoffs, and potentially win a national championship? Who told you that? Where did you see that at? I didn't see it. Browski definitely didn't see it. So again, at the end of the day, who's who's the ones? Us or you? That's number one. Number two, Alabama, another team that wanted to do something for some respect, try to put some respect on their name, went to Tallahassee and played against a team that really didn't have nothing to lose. Nobody thought they was going to win. They just thought they was going to show up and be the Alabama Kalen DeBoer year two show. Nah, B. First of all, the coach that they have at Alabama, everybody loved the pick, so don't front. Don't front. Listen. Don't front. Everybody loved to pick, oh, Kalen DeBoer, he's the right guy to replace Nick Saban, and he's going to keep the line moving. Whoop-de-whoop. They won 9 games last year, right? All right, respectable. This year, coming out the gate, a lot of respect was put on Alabama name. Not the national championship respect, the playoff respect was put on Alabama name. Florida State, nah, right? So, again, they went and got stomped out. Not beat. It wasn't a Notre Dame Miami game. No, it wasn't. It was more like a South Florida Boise State game, right? So Alabama, all the crow they got to eat, all the stuff they got to get off their face. The Crimson Tide's a Crimson Tide of embarrassment. Let me rock, got a pair. The SEC should be ashamed of itself. Y'all talked all that junk about this and that and with the Alabama tradition. The tradition's over. Right? And you know why I say tradition's over? Let me cook, Browski. You wonder where Archie Griffin would have ended up. You wonder where Desmond Howard would have ended up. You wonder where Tim Tebow would have ended up. You name, fill in the blank. If it was a portal or a name, image, and likeness. Right? So you get what you get. And now you got what you got. You move around the transfer portal, you get these guys try to outsmart the other guy. But y'all not going on that. Y'all going on what you did when Nick Saban was here. That don't compute. So again, at the end of the day, you let all the prognosticators, all the high price talkers, all the so and so experts and the analysts and the this and the that talk what they talk. I would love to hear them defend their position today. Because us two right here, we just sit here and call it like we see it. I don't owe you nothing. And if the team that we pick does bad or does good or whatever the case may be, that's not a reflection on the team. That's a reflection on us because we're looking at it from a different lens. And the reason why I'm saying it like this, Kim, is because all these people, you name it, whatever commercial they on, none of them picked Clemson to lose. The only one I remember to pick that, regardless of the Florida State Alabama game, was Lee Corso. He picked Florida State. All of them picked Alabama. And Lee Corso is the one that's leaving. So when you talk about this thing is going to be a whole, it's only week one. We just getting started. That's why we
Mm-hmm.
named this the beginning, right? We're going to be
Mm-hmm.
talking about Alabama. They got to redeem themselves. Next week, we're going to be talking about somebody else. It might be Miami. Who
Who
knows?
knows? Who knows?
You know what I'm saying? So again, at the end of the day, you lick your wounds. You know, some of y'all sounded crazy going into week one, looking back at it, but it's cool. All right, Boise State, Browski already got it, y'all. Now I mentioned y'all. Now you got to go. Who am I missing, y'all? Here? We talked about Alabama, talked about Clemson, talked about Boise. Who we missing? Oh, Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta give y'all real respect. Marcus Freeman. I mean, again, y'all had mentioned earlier how some of the calls that you made. But hey, man, you rock it. That quarterback you got is a dude. And Reggie Love or Jeremiah Love, my mistake, Jeremiah
Yeah, my
Love
love.
is that guy, right? I
Yeah,
kept waiting for him to really, really break one, Yada. I kept waiting
yeah.
for him to really, really break one. You know what I mean? I'm gonna say this about Notre Dame, man. Um, they're independent. They do what they do. They going. You talk about name brand. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a picture of them in the dictionaries. Notre Dame. You know what I mean? But
Mm-hmm.
again, they played respectable. Browski. That's why we're gonna get into this in a hot second. The down in sports rankings, but that's why I kept them in there because they played a way
Yeah.
better game than Alabama. They played a way
Yes.
better game than Clemson. Did they
In
play a better
Texas,
game than Texas?
I
Eh.
think I think
What you
so.
think?
I think they play a little. I think they played a better
Okay,
game in
okay,
Texas.
right, okay. And again, I can see that, Broski, because again, the quarterback play that Notre Dame got from their guy versus the
Yeah.
quarterback play that Texas got from their guy is like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So again, that's what we putting that at. So, you ready to get into it, Broski?
Yeah.
The top 12 plus one. Should we start from the beginning, from 1 to 12 or 12 to 1?
Now we could do 1 to 12. I
All
feel
right,
like that.
real quick. The number one team this week in down in Sports Talk rankings, Ohio State Buckeyes. I think you know why.
Yep.
Winning that home game, defending national champions, and they did what they had to do. And again, what happens when you talk about a team like Ohio State, the AP or whatever, they knew what they were doing, ranking them
Yeah.
number three. They knew what they were doing, right? So
Yeah.
we knew what we were doing, ranking them number two. So anyway,
Yeah.
Ohio State's number one, Penn State Nittany Lions number two,
Mm-hmm.
right? Did what they had to do, handle their business. You got the Georgia Bulldogs at number three, another team that handled their business and did what they had to do. We had them fourth in the rankings last week. Oh, Browski's giving me the, she's giving me the.
I
Go ahead.
mean, yeah, they did what they're supposed to do, but look who they did it against.
Yeah, I mean we can say the same thing
I
about Penn State.
personally will put LSU at number
Ah,
3 for
uh oh.
taking down the
See, that's why we
quote
got to get your
unquote
vote.
quote
Mm-hmm.
unquote, golden goose in Clemson. And they did it in
Okay,
Death Valley. So to
you're right.
me, also
You're right.
I have I would you could flip flop them, but I will put
Mm-hmm.
personally I'll put LSU at 3, Georgia at 4.
Okay. That's why next week, ladies and gentlemen, we will have the lefty poll and we will have the Yada Bear Browski poll. Like they have the AP and the coaches poll, right?
Right?
So that's what it is. That's what it is. We'll have the lefty poll and we'll have the Yada poll and we'll do it like that. Ohio State number 1, Penn State number 2, Georgia
Hmm.
number 3, Miami number 4. I gotta do it. Miami, right? LSU number 5. Right? Putting some respect on their name, but not too much. Florida number 6, another
um,
SEC team. Go ahead.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
I agree.
All right. Um, I don't know what you gonna think about this one. Oregon number 7.
Um, I'm not mad at it.
Okay.
I'm not mad at Oregon at 7.
Arizona State number 8.
Oh, all right. Let me see who you got at 9. Okay,
South Carolina number 9.
I'll probably put South Carolina at 8. I'll
Okay.
flip those two, but I'm not mad
And
at that.
okay. And number 10, Florida State. I put Florida State at number 10 because the
No, no,
the
no. I'm good at that.
oh, you good with it?
Hmm.
Okay, because I just was
I'm
going to explain why I put them in number
no,
10.
no, no.
Number
I
11,
can. Yeah.
go ahead.
No, no.
Go
Florida
ahead.
State at 10.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's good.
Just because Florida State at
Well,
10. I
off
mean,
of
whatever
yeah,
they do from here on out is gravy. Go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, yep. Go ahead. Yep.
No, Florida State at 10. Michigan at 11. Now, I questioned myself on that pick too, but I said Bryce Underwood
Mm.
got busy. Michigan, we'll see what they do. Um, and that's that. But the last team in the top 12 for the lefty side, right? At number 12, Notre Dame. Had to keep them in there. Had to keep them in there. And the
I'm not.
team, the plus one. Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at North Day at 12.
My plus one, Illinois.
See, that's where we differ. I would have put
Okay.
Illinois
Uh huh.
at 11.
Okay.
Who you put at 11? Arizona State?
Michigan.
Michigan. Yeah, I
Florida
would have
State 10,
Michigan.
Michigan 11.
Yeah, I would have Michigan. I would have Michigan at like 13.
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
again, ladies and gentlemen, boys and
but
girls,
no,
cats and dogs, the Yada Bear poll will be out next week. Top 12 plus
yeah,
one. Please believe it. Browski's in the
yeah.
building. That's
That was my
and that's
thing.
what that's what I was talking about. You know what I mean? Because they got
Yeah,
the AP poll, then you got the coaches poll, you got
yeah.
the lefty poll, then you
Now,
got the Browski
now
poll.
the AP code poll and the coaches
Uh-huh.
poll is a little wild because the AP they got Texas at 7, Clemson at 8,
You know why that
Notre
is, Kim.
Dame
You know why that
Notre
is. You
Dame
know why
at
that is.
9,
Yep. Where
South
they got
Carolina at
Alabama? Where
10.
they got Alabama?
Oh, they got Bama at 21, which I'm not mad at. Yes,
I'm not mad at that either. And
they
again, to me,
deserve
it
to be
speaks
that
to
far
right.
down.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what I'm little iffy about Tennessee at 22, Florida State at 14, and Florida at 13. I feel like they're disrespecting the Florida team. Like that's
Well, I mean, again, I guess these are subject to change.
Clemson.
So
Clemson and Texas in the top 10 still is
I
wild
listen.
to
That's
me.
no, right, right,
That
Kimmy.
I
That's why
like
I had no
that's
Texas,
I
none of that. Right, you right,
I have
right.
to like. And it's wild that it's on both sides. It's like Texas showed us nothing. Clemson showed
Showed
us
less than that.
nothing. Yeah. And these are the two teams that you hyped up the most in the off season. They both went out, laid an egg, and you telling me they still in the top 10? Like I would have been okay if they was like 11 and 12, and I'd be like, okay, I get that. But top 10 is crazy to me. Crazy to me. Like an unranked team in Florida State beat Alabama, and
A
they
team
are
where you
out
wasn't even
here,
thinking about. Right.
and they're on the
Right.
outside looking in at 14. But you telling me that Texas and Clemson deserve to be in the top 10? All right, who am I? But I just think that's wild right there.
I think that's wild too. I think that's kind of like nasty work because again, look at how they lost, and then you look at the teams that that won those games, and if you notice in down in sports, lefties, um, top 12 plus one rankings, there's no Texas, right? Because again, I put like the criteria I use is like a loss is a loss is a loss.
A
If you're a
loss is a
top
loss.
number one team, you're going on the road. You got the quarterback lineage thing going on, and coming with the coach Steve Sarkisian. You was in the college football semis last year. You was going in ranked number one,
For
right?
real.
So again, to kind of like put your quarterback in those situations where you had goal line, red zone opportunities and couldn't cash them in. You was at the goal line twice. I factor all of that in, Kimmy. You was at the goal line twice.
Yeah.
Couldn't get 3 points. Couldn't get 3 points out the deal. Couldn't get three. Couldn't get a field goal, my G. Like so, again, I factor all of that in, and I just think that the teams that win deserve to move up if you can. You know what I mean? That's why I moved Miami on the strength of the win that they had, which was an instant classic, from 8 to
Yeah.
4.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So again, that's my rationale for making it happen like that. You got no Alabama in there. You know what I mean? You got no Texas in there. And Notre Dame barely made it on the strength of their the how well they played against
Yeah.
Miami. But
Yeah.
again, um, I just feel like that's where we are after this particular week. So this is all. I mean, this is the time that we put in to talk about this particular ranking. Next week we're gonna be talking about a whole different bang. Before we get out of college football, Ethan Pritchard, the freshman, all right, was shot. He goes to Florida State, and he was shot visiting family after the game against Alabama. He was in critical but stable condition. So again, us over here down at In Sports, we want to send one up for the homie, and we won't even get into that other stuff. But I just wanted to mention that, you know what I mean, and we're gonna keep it pushing. Down in Sports Talk, are we ready to get into it, Browski? Are we
Of
ready to get
course.
into it? I know it, I know it, I know it. I got a whole intro I'm getting ready to do for this. The Super Bowl resides, well, the Super Bowl trophy resides in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the home of the Brotherly Shove, aka the Tush Push, aka the all I need is 1 yard and I'm gonna get that joint. Notice I said John. Yada Bear had a club open up recently when her team was undefeated. She had all types of patios in the back, all types of green rooms and all that going on. And unfortunately, their liquor license got suspended. I don't know, somebody made a phone call. Somebody made a phone call and the club got shut down. But the next year, Yada Bear Browski and her crew was like, yo, they put their little thing together. and they started jumping backwards over people. And they took their situation and took it all the way to a Super Bowl. And that's why I call Browski, aka rain, sleet, hail, and snow. Now it's a new season. You turn over a new leaf, the leaves get brown again, the air gets crispy in the morning and all of that. The kids is going to school. It's a new dawn. A new horizon has arisen. And that new horizon leads us to the 2025 NFL preview as presented to you by who? The great people at Data in Sports. So again, we are in the building. Last week we talked about the AFC. This week we're gonna get into Browski's favorite subject, the NFC. That's where her Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles reside. Right? So with chivalry being the greater part of valor, and that's the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Yada Bear and her 2025 NFL preview.
Ah, thank you for that
All right,
wonderful,
yeah, all right.
introduction. Um, football. Wow, we made it through the dog days of summer. We made it through the darkness of the off season. For the other 31 teams. Our off season was amazing. We had parades, we had
Starting already.
celebrations.
Uh-huh.
You know, we had our guys on Sports Illustrated magazine. We even had a whole documentary made by the losing team that was actually turned into an Eagles highlight reel. It was wonderful to experience our victory from the other side. You know, watching Patrick Mahomes curse himself on the sideline, watching the owners of the Chiefs and their wives, and the Patrick Mahomes, his wife, and the Taylor Swifts all up in the owner's box, just looking depressed. Don't know what to do. They look
Browski,
very sad,
Browski
like
cooking.
someone stole a puppy. But we didn't steal anything. We just went out there and destroyed them. Once again, the Philadelphia Eagles, the stoppers of three-peats. We stopped the Patriots three-peat. We stopped the Chiefs three-peat. So let's just stop talking about three-peats and just worrying about winning the game. Okay? But I say all that to say that was last season. That's the past. Now we're focused on this season where we start all over again. Everybody 0-0. We all on the same. We all in the same lane. No one's a step above anyone. We all on even ground. Okay, we all even out. We start the season out on Thursday against nobody but other our arch rivals and the Cowboys, who are still licking their wounds from their owner, giving self-inflicted wounds, by trading away one of the most talented, um, some may say, future Hall of Famer, generational talent to the Green Bay Packers. And others may say, well, he's damaged goods.
Hmm.
But only thing I would say is I saw who we was with him versus what we're going to be without him, you know. But that's their problem. It's not our problem. we're gonna go into this season with our heads held high as the banner drops on them, so they can actually see what a Super Bowl banner look like in present time. They don't have to go in the basement, dust off the VCR, hoping they can find the cords to the VCR. You know,
Ah,
the
dial
red,
up on the microscope.
yellow, and white cord. You know, they got to make sure they can find those cords because no one can ever find the cords to it,
Right. But
right?
listen,
And then they
they
gotta
can call Miss Cleo. They can call Miss Cleo and ask her where the court is
exactly.
at.
And then we can also dust off that VHS tape and hope that it didn't pop. That
Right.
it's still playable. But we're gonna drop the banner on Thursday, and then our season starts again. We're back on the grind again. But let's go through these divisions. Okay,
Let's go,
let's
Brosky.
go through the division. So we're gonna start at the NFC West. We don't
Okay.
have a dog in that fight. You know, when we look at the NFC West, it's really, to me, going to be a two-man race. You got the Rams and the Seahawks. The Rams will go as far as Matthew Stafford back would take them. Because we have to be honest, he's an aging quarterback with some back issues. Quarterback with back issues that don't go well. They don't go hand in hand. Um, Cooper Cup is now gone, so now Puka Nakua, he's the guy now. And sometimes being the guy, it's not always cracked up to be. Sometimes you miss the other guy on the other side that get
Right.
that get a lot of attention, which helps your game, help you get one-on-one um, matchups. But you know, we'll see what happens. Um, their defense, still pretty decent defense. The guy, what Verse, the linebacker, um, they always have a pretty decent, defense. Sean McVay, quote unquote, one of the offensive gurus out there. So it should be really interesting with these guys. Everybody keeps saying, "Oh, they was one play away from going to the Super Bowl." Yeah, that sounds nice, but in reality, if you watch the game, they were several plays away from the Super Bowl. They needed another quarter. They wasn't going to win that game. Um, and then we look at Seattle. You know, Seattle traded in um, quarterbacks. They traded Geno Smith
Brosky's
for
crazy.
Sam Darnold.
Right.
The
Right.
quarterback switcheroo. Um, both ironically, both of them former Jets. you,
Right.
you know,
Who
and
saw that coming? Right.
who saw that coming? And also, both of them, was told, the Jets told us that both of these quarterbacks was trash.
Mm.
They told us that Gino and Sam was horrible, and I I can't say that was true or not because we just saw what Sam did in Minnesota for 1 year. 14 wins out of nowhere, and we seen what Gino did for Seattle um, for the past 2 seasons. He kept them relevant. He kept them in the playoff talk. There wasn't rollovers in that division. They kept it really interested. So I can't call it with these two guys. Seattle, they got Kenneth Walker, really good running back. Hopefully he can stay healthy the whole season. They have you know, really a new receiving core. DK's gone. Um, what's the other receiver name? Our Lockett is not there, and so now you're relying on your young guy, Smith and Nicola is his name. Yeah. So he is going to have to step up to be the guy. So once again, you want to be the guy, but you have a guy named DK on the other side that was giving you all these open opportunities because he demanded more coverage. So now he's gone. Who are you? Are you going to be the guy, or are they still in search of the guy? And then, you got the 49ers who receiving core going to look totally different also. They either hurt or they're gone. No more Debo. Brandon Ayuk hurt. Jennings hurt. They got the young guy, Ricky
With
Purcell,
Pearsall.
Purcell
Yeah,
who got
and they got
cut.
Juwan Jennings.
Yeah, Jawan, but Jawan Jennings is a little banged up too. So it's like,
Mm.
and then of course, you got Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle. Um, Christian coming back, hopefully he'll be fully healthy this season. We'll see how he plays out. George Kittle, you know, I don't know if he's still looked at as one of those top receiving tight ends because he had a down year. Their defense going to look a lot different. They lost what the safety to both from Denver, even to Denver. Um, uh, the linebackers, it's look a little different in San Francisco, and that it's paid Brock Purdy. So we got to see, was Brock Purdy worth that check? And then last but not least, you got the Cardinals where we're in limbo with the Cardinals. You have Marvin Harrison Jr., who really came to light, really towards the end of the season. You still got James Conner there. So you have a balanced offense, but the question has always and will always be Kyler Murray. You have this great receiver, Marvin Harrison. You got this great receiving tight end with McBride. They trying to get their defense together. They got them couple pieces in the off season. But the question mark for this Arizona Cardinal team will always be Kyler Murray. So when I look at the NFC West, I got Rams 1, Seattle 2, San Francisco 3, Arizona 4. What about you?
When you talk about the NFC West, I'm kind of with you. You know what I mean? It's a 4 team race, but only two are gonna really finish. Um, but stranger things have happened. We talked about the Rams and what they're relying on, and we talked about Seattle and could they get their thing together, and cast off a guy who really had a career year.
Mm-hmm.
And then you talk about the 49ers who are going to be without a lot. Brandon Ayuk is not going to be back. He's had surgery, so he's going to be missing in action.
Mm-hmm.
Um, then you got the Arizona Cardinals. The Arizona Cardinals are the no pun intended, the enigma of the NFC West. You don't know what they're going to do. You kind of like want them to do good, but then when you hope they do good, they end up being garbage. But then sleep on them, they end up being in the Super Bowl. So again, I'm with you right now. When we talk about looking at it from a long distance eyeglass, I see the Los Angeles Rams being the best out of those 4 teams. If I had to pick someone else besides the Los Angeles Rams, I think I would pick Seattle because I
Yeah.
think a lot is on Sam Darnold's shoulders. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? He's going to be expected to pick up right where he left off, and the fact that he doesn't have the Lockett, so the DK Metcalf is not really going to be. They're not going to want to hear that. You know what I mean? So again, they still got the Enigma kid. You know what I mean? They still got some situations. They got you talked about Kenneth Walker. They got the kids Charbonnet.
Yeah,
So
Charbonnet.
again, they can yeah they can make some noise and do some things. But I'm with you, Browski. LA Rams, and I think they might be the only team out of that division to make the playoffs.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so let's move along to the NFC North.
Okay.
Um, NFC North has became very interesting now by
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the arrival of one Micah Parson to Green Bay. And once that happened, once again, all of these
Cook,
analysts are
Browski. When you ready
the
to cook?
window. You know, these guys are
Mm-mm.
the
You
odds
heard me?
favorite to dethrone the Philadelphia Eagles. And I'm like, wow. I'm like, really? This one guy is going to be the difference maker. But when I think about last season, I'm thinking about, wow, look at this division: Detroit, Minnesota, Chicago. And I'm looking at Green Bay. I said, well, they got to fight to get out their own division. So you telling me that this one guy is just leapfrog Detroit, who they lost to twice, Minnesota, who they also lost to twice, and Chicago, who they split with. I mean, can they get out their own division before you start looking
They get out
ahead?
their own way, right?
Yeah, before you start looking ahead to see everybody else, you need to see what's right in front of you. And
Mm,
right in front of you could be five losses within your division. Okay,
mm.
as like last season. Um, Green Bay, yeah, it's an improvement, but again, we have a quarterback in Jordan Love. We have seen um get a little banged up real fast, real quick. Um, you know,
Mm-hmm.
he has another
Mm-hmm.
year with his receivers, who also
Dropping
was getting
passes.
banged, dropping
They
passes,
dropped
being
30. They
banged up.
dropped 33 passes last year.
Crazy work, crazy, and like everybody's Dobbs and Watson. These guys are extremely talented in dropping passes. And then you bring in Josh Jacobs, to you know bring that running game back. And don't get me wrong, Josh Jacobs is no scrub at all, but you still going to need more. And you know, listening to all the chatter about this one guy named Michael Parson who just left the Cowboys, someone kept saying the reason why we had to let this guy go is because we had to stop the run. We got to stop the run. And when I look at the Packers, one of their biggest problems was stopping the run. It was evident from the first game of the season. Saquon had 3 touchdowns on him out there in Brazil. 3 touchdowns. So you bringing in a guy who's not really that good, that not that well versed in stopping the run, throw the bag at him, and then all of a sudden you guys are leading contenders to dethrone these guys? I think not. I think not, because I don't think that you guys can even get out of your division. I don't think you guys will be able to beat Detroit, which I don't understand how you guys can overlook them. Yes, they lost their defense coordinator and offensive coordinator, but what did they gain? Well, they gained back Aiden Hutchinson, who missed majority of last season. Who's back, healthier, hungrier, got a chip on his shoulder. He wants to be the man. You know, you still have
Think
Jared
he might?
Goff there. You know, you still have Amon St. Brown there. You still have Jameer Gibbs there. You still have
Mm-hmm.
Jameson Williams there. So
David Montgomery.
I want to know how the Green Bay Packers have emerged to be above the Detroit Lions, who I think will come out that division. And also, let's not overlook the Minnesota Vikings, where people are squinting their eyes at because now they let Sam Darnold go because they have their quarterback in J.J. McCarthy. You know, Sam was able to run because J.J. couldn't walk last season. You know,
Mm.
okay. I think,
4,300 yards passing,
yeah,
35 touchdowns.
I think that the Vikings would have been just as successful last season with JJ as quarterback. Um, I think we will see JJ have a decent year this year. You know, it might start off a little slow, get the feel of the game. You know, get the speed of the game. But I feel confident enough that I feel like this guy is really good. Um, he has all the pieces around him. They will be without Jordan Addison for what, 4 games because he got the
Hmm.
suspension.
On the pup list. Hmm.
Yeah, so I mean, well, it's the suspension from the what was it, DUI or something. He something in the
Oh,
off
okay.
season. Yeah. You still got Justin Jefferson. Some may put as the best receiver in the game right now. I could argue that, but uh, really reliable tight end. Um, who
Yeah,
has
he used to play
hands.
for Detroit. Hmm.
They used to play for who has hands. Because we know that
Right.
we all know that
TJ
young
Hawkinson,
quarterbacks,
right.
yeah,
Hmm.
young quarterbacks rely on a tight end, and
Yep.
Hawkinson is a really good tight end to rely on. Um, Defense maybe a little, we'll see. The Vikings defense has never been amazing, but it also never have been terrible. They're generally like middle of the ground type of defense. Um, so
Defense was 16th last year.
mm, yeah, middle of the
16th in the
ground.
NFL. Right in the middle,
Yeah,
right? Come on, let's
mi-
go,
mi- mi-
Browski. You
yeah,
know, let's go.
middle of the ground defense. So
Uh-huh.
um, we will see what they will produce this year, and then last but not least, the Chicago Bears. This is Caleb Williams. Year for me. Um, you got a coach now. You got an offensive coach there. Um, we have all
From Detroit.
training
From Detroit.
from Detroit. It's a lot of like interchangeable
You know
guys.
what I mean?
I feel like in this division, you're either going to Detroit, Minnesota, or Green Bay. It's so weird. They
Right.
like they
Right.
got they like interchange guys like it's nothing. But like he got him a coach here. You know, second year with Rome. Um, you still got Swift there. Uh, we're gonna see. I'm looking for improvement with them. I don't want these. It's just so crazy that like Chicago been bad for a while. Like I always root for them to get better. I want them to try to get better, but it seems like they always get in their own way, and I'm not sure about this guy Caleb Williams. I'm not sure if he's the guy. He could be the guy. I'm not sure about that. So when I look at this division, I got Detroit one. I think Green Bay, Minnesota is probably going tie at 2, and Chicago in last place. And if I have to put my finger on it, I may say Green Bay may make the wild card. Detroit takes the division. What you say?
What I say.
What you
Well,
say?
this is what I say.
Hmm.
I say that the Green Bay Packers might not even make the playoffs. I say that the Minnesota Vikings, J.J. McCarthy is going to be this year's Jaden Daniels. I
Okay.
say the Detroit Lions are going to take a step backward,
Okay.
but not far enough where people discard them as having a garbage year. I
Hmm.
say the Chicago Bears are going to do better than expected. Now, the reason why I say that the Detroit Lions or the Minnesota Vikings are going to do better with J.J. McCarthy is because, again, J.J. McCarthy was the truth before he got hurt. From what I've seen in preseason, J.J. McCarthy is slinging that ball, right? So I think that what the Minnesota Vikings are going to bring to the table is an energy, a quarterback that's already got the people behind him. He haven't played one snap yet, in official snap yet, right? So
Definitely.
again, with what he's got, right? So then we talk about Green Bay, right? Micah Parsons is going to add, but I think that when you talk about that division, you mentioned it, Browski. They're going to be like clawing with Green Bay. They're going to be clawing with Minnesota, and I mean, excuse me, with Detroit and Minnesota. And I see like Green Bay. They start with Detroit. They start with Washington. Then they go to Cleveland. Then they go to Dallas, and then they get a bye. I can see them at 2-2 going into their bye. Real talk.
Hmm.
Like the expectation of the people in Green Bay all of a sudden is that the Green Bay Packers have risen from offensive wonder kind with Jordan Love and what they've got going on and the receivers, and they drafted Matthew Golden from TCU, so they added another burner. But
Hmm.
I'm just saying Green Bay is still going to be in a lot of games where their defense is going to have to step to the forefront and something's going to happen. Now, how many games is Micah Parsons going to play? Right, already going into this weekend situation against Detroit, he's already dealing with a back issue. So
Yeah.
again, you talked about the Green Bay defense that they were fifth in the NFL in total defense, right? They were seventh against the run, right, in the NFL, and fourth in the NFC. So here's my thing: if they don't improve, which Saquon Barkley might have an issue with that, a couple other running backs may have an issue with that. The pressure is going to be on them.
Hmm.
He had a situation. Michael Parsons had a situation in Dallas. It was just messed up internally. He's got a situation now in Green Bay where now all he's got to do is play. He doesn't have to necessarily be the de facto leader. They have that already in Jordan Love, right? Get in where you fit in, right?
Yeah.
And do what you do. So again, you talk about Green Bay, you talk about the Detroit Lions. Now this is a team I really, and the last 2 years have proven me right. The last 2 years have proven me right. Right? All these Lions fans, they get hyped in charge every year, this and that and the third. You get all
Yeah.
the advantages in the world. One year, you was on the road, you was up by 20 points in the second
Sure.
half.
Yeah.
The next year, you was at home against who? I mean, and Washington gave you the business. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure you out and say, hey man, listen, are you or are you not? Are you or are you not? What you say you are.
Hmm.
Because September through December, y'all the bee's knees, Uh what you're doing offense, I'm gonna say Brown and all of this, and then you got the two-headed monster at the running backs and your defense making noise and doing that. But when it comes to playoff time, I saw a kid named number 26 run through y'all like y'all wasn't even there.
Yeah.
So for me, the Lions are gonna have to prove it to me. So I'm gonna say like this: for me, from my perspective, I like the Minnesota Vikings to win the NFC North
Okay.
because we've been there and done that with Detroit, right? Green Bay is still trying to make it happen for themselves, but I think the Minnesota Vikings. And let's look at the Minnesota Vikings first few games, right? at Chicago, home Atlanta, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh and Dublin, Cleveland and London. So by the time they come back after their bye, they play you guys on October 19th.
Mm-hmm.
The Vikings record could be undefeated. The best game on their
Okay.
schedule is against Cincinnati. They're gonna beat the Bears. They're
Mm-hmm.
gonna beat Atlanta in their home opener. They're gonna beat Cincinnati. They're gonna beat Pittsburgh, and they're gonna beat Cleveland. So again, they don't even
Very
see
possible.
nobody. Listen, bro. Listen, Kimmy. This is why I brought this up. They don't even see nobody in their division. The first game, then they don't see a division game until November the 2nd at Detroit.
Mm.
And then it's like it gets spooky at Detroit, then Baltimore, then it's the Bears again. Then they go to Green Bay, they go to Seattle, Washington, at Dallas, at the Giants, Detroit, and they close out the season against Green Bay. Now, for all the talking that we doing, I bet you a dollar to a donut. My grandmother used to say that all the time. I bet you a dollar to a donut that Green Bay Minnesota game is going to mean something. After all the talk, we're going to talk to September, October, November. That Green Bay Minnesota game is probably going to mean something.
Yeah.
But at the end
Yeah.
of the day, for me, Browski, talking about the NFC North, I like the Minnesota Vikings. Um,
Okay.
Two teams in that division will make the playoffs.
Okay.
One of them is going to be Minnesota. Now, Detroit or Green Bay is up to y'all. But the Bears are going to be better than people expect. They might split with two of those teams in the division. They're not going to get swept by everybody.
Yeah.
I'll put that out there right now. The Bears are
Yeah.
going to win. The Bears are going to win two games in the division this year. They'll win two games. They
I can
play
see that.
six, right? Two,
Yeah, I can
two,
see
two.
that.
But they're going to win two games this year.
Yeah.
So that's my look at the NFC North. You go ahead, Browski. What we doing now with division?
Well, I'll let you go ahead and get yours off. We're gonna go to NFC South. I'll let you start it off.
Browski being so
I'm
nice.
gonna I'm
Look,
gonna sit back and let you cook.
look at y'all there being so nice, being so nice. Look at this. I appreciate you, Browski. NFC South, aka the domain of the NFC champion, four-time, five-time defending NFC South champion. Throw a Super Bowl in there too. Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Thank you very much. But we're gonna leave them for last, right? Atlanta. We have looked at the Falcons as a team that could be on the cusp. Um, our former coach, Raheem Morris, is their coach. They got a quarterback situation allegedly that's taken care of. Um, they got a squad. They got one of the best young running backs, and I think you're gonna hear a lot about him. If I decide to do this fantasy thing, I'm running late on that. But if I decide to do it, Bijan Robinson would definitely be one of my running backs. I see him in a kind of a light where I don't want to put him on the same level as Saquon, but hey, man, he could do the things Saquon could do. I don't think he could jump over nobody backwards, but you know what I mean? I respect Bijan Robinson in that light and what the Falcons do. They have a young receiving core, Drake London and those guys, and what the guy that we talk about all the time is missing the action, even though he's out there, Kyle Pitts. You know what I mean? Whenever they decide to, treat him Tony Gonzalez style, the Falcons might be a problem. But until they figure it out, it is what it is. I think their defense. I think their defense is just totally flipped the switch now. They got a new defensive coordinator, Jeff Ulrich, handling their thing. I think they still got the homie Grady Jarrett. No, they lost Grady Jarrett, who signed with the Bears. So again, the Atlanta Falcons got some things to do. Um, where do I see them finishing? We'll get to that in a second. The New Orleans Saints, another one of those teams will be looking to probably uh, Scotch for Arch. You know what I mean? Um, we really don't know what they got. Spencer Rattler was named the starting quarterback. I'm surprised, somewhat surprised that Alvin Kamara is still there. If you ask me, you know, and not to disrespect the New Orleans Saints, but again, I feel like the Saints are spinning their wheels right now. They've been rebuilding for the last 3 or 4 years. They're watching their coach, in Denver, do some things. But I think that Kellen Moore, he's got a chance to kind of like be the guy who has his team under the radar, excuse me. But I think their schedule is gonna, call for some real talk, man, because they don't have a bye until November 16th. And I mean, Arizona, San Francisco, at Seattle, at Buffalo, Giants, New England, at Chicago, Tampa Bay, at the Rams, at Carolina. That's not a horrible schedule. But if you're fill in the blank team,
Yeah.
you might handle that schedule and act like it's you got something you can't deal with. I'll leave it at that. But I feel like the Saints, they could be a spoiler. That's the best thing I could say at this point because their quarterback game is their quarterback game is really who respects their quarterbacks. No disrespect to them, but hey, you got Spencer Rattler. If he gets hurt, you got Tyler Show. Then what? So
No matter what.
um, I feel like they've got to make some moves. They've got to do some things in New Orleans, but at least they're not the Carolina Panthers, right? Carolina Panthers. Bryce Young. This has to be the year for you where you kind of like people put some respect on your name. People are expecting you not to show up, Bryce Young. People are expecting you not to have the year that you should have, or people think that you should have. Um, I don't know what to say, except that the Carolina Panthers are going to probably end up being spoilers again and do what they do. Um, they got Chuba Hubbard. He's the best skill player on the team. They, they traded away Adam Thielen, right? Did they trade him back to the Vikings or something the other day? Right? So that
Yeah.
target is gone. So you talk about Carolina. I just the last 5 years they won 5 games in 2020, 5 games in 2021, 7 games in 2022, 2 games in 2023, and 5 games last year. So somewhere in that mean that's a mean of about what 6, right? So again, I'm not really putting no respect on the Carolina Panthers name. If you want to send an email, send it to Yada Bear. You know what I mean? So again, that's what that is. But now we get to the, as we say, the cream of the situation. Dollar bill, y'all. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Where do I begin? Now it's just not me just saying this now, because I've been a Buccaneers fan since 1976. This is year 50, baby. This is year 50, right? And I think that in this year 50, a lot of people will learn about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We were a bad team, Bowski. A bad team. We lost our first 26 games in our team's history, right? Then in 1979, it started to switch up. We went to the NFC Championship. That's neither here nor there. But we've always either been good or basura. Now we've been the last 3 or 4 years we've been decent, you know what I mean? But this year, I think is the year where it comes together for Baker Mayfield and these guys. We're not worried about what happens up north in I-95 at the Financial Field Bank, Citizen, whatever they call that thing today. We're not worried about that. What we are dealing with is our offensive line. We got our guy that's going to miss the first 4 games. I hear somebody laughing. It ain't funny, man. Our guy's going to miss first 4 games, right?
It's your guy though. It's
And
your guy.
I feel like That's the only problem we have. Tristan Wirfs is going to be out. Chris Godwin's going to be out the first 4 games. Our rookie that we drafted from Ohio State, Amika Ibuke, is going to be the truth. You got Evans on one side, Ibuke on the other side. I'm looking forward to that matchup when we play the Eagles. When we got what's the guy in the secondary for the Eagles?
Don't
We got
disrespect.
yeah,
Don't
you know.
disrespect
But
Quinton Day.
back to the Bucks though. Real talk. I feel like this year we could put it all together. We're an injury away from being 8 and 9. You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
you
But
only got the
because Browski,
injury, which is Chris Godwin. He's the
yeah,
injury.
I mean, but I feel like this year I have a lot of confidence in what we got going on. I think that we can win, 12. I looked at the schedule, Browski. I looked at our schedule, and I'm like, I'm not really scared of it. I'm not. I mean, again, a lot of these games, if we lose, will be upsets. The Jets, right? New Orleans twice, New England, Arizona. Come on, yo. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, really? So again, we supposed to handle our business. I see a first place finish in the NFC South, absolutely. 12 plus wins, right? 12 plus wins, right? 12 plus is only what? 12 and 5, 13 and 4, right? I'll eat that. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking for Baker Mayfield to have that career defining season, right? He tends to make a lot of mistakes, Browski. Remember last year in the playoffs, he was running with the ball and nobody was around him and he fumbled. Like, what the hell is that?
He had butterfingers.
You know what I mean? Yeah, at the most inopportune time. So I feel like when you talk about the NFC South, it's not just really Tampa Bay all day, which really it is. You know what I'm saying? But I'm going to try to put some respect on the Atlanta Falcons' name because New Orleans and Carolina, they're just dusting the wind. You know what I mean? So I got Buck Nation all day. And can Atlanta make the playoffs? We'll see. Go ahead, Kimmy.
Well, I'm gonna put a lot of respect on Atlanta name. Um,
Oh Lord, here we go. Look at this.
I mean, I can't
Hate, hate,
deny.
hate, 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 hate,
It's
hate, hate,
no
hate,
hate.
hate.
It's no hate, but I can't deny the talent they got in these skill positions. Bijan Robinson, I think he is the second coming of Saquon. He's good. He's extremely good. I wouldn't say he's on that level yet, but he's getting there. Um, to me, Atlanta has two real big question marks on their team.
Mm-hmm.
One, Michael Penix. Michael Penix Jr. Is he the guy? Are they going to have a short lease on this guy? Because they still got Kirk Cousins in the building.
Right. And all that
You
money
know,
sit on the sideline.
all
That's
that
right.
money
Let's go,
that's sitting
Kim.
there. So you telling me Michael Penix go out there, I don't know, throw two picks. You want to yank them that fast? Ruin the kid's confidence that quickly?
Well,
And
Kirk Cousins will be looking at you sideways. Yep,
yeah,
believe that.
and we also gotta look at Raheem Morris because every game is we're gonna look at you underneath a microscope because you have Kirk Cousins sitting on the sideline holding the Microsoft tablet as he's making 100 million guarantee. You get 100 million guarantee to hold a Microsoft Surface tablet on the sideline.
He's
Okay,
shopping.
what's going on? And then the second thing I look at is the before mentioned Kyle Pitts. We have been waiting for him to emerge as this amazing receiving tight end. We have seen him in college. We saw him in training camp. We seen the hype. And first thing came to mind, he don't have a quarterback. That's why he's not getting the ball. Blasey, blasey, blasey. But then I had to sit back and think about it. Drake London had the same quarterback. Drake London was out there making plays. Drake London has emerged as the number one receiver. So what is your excuse, Kyle? You
Mm.
had he had the same guy throwing the ball, to him. The last season you had Kirk Cousins out there. You know, you still didn't really show up at all. So, you know, he's
He had to throw. He was ending
he's
up throwing the ball to Darnell Mooney and Ray McLeod. And
exactly instead of this guy Kyle Pitts who's supposed to be, the second coming of Jimmy Graham,
yep, yep.
Tony
That's what they said. Yep,
Gonzalez,
yep.
out there, Travis Kelsey, he can
Tony Gonzalez. That's why they
he could
drafted him.
yeah, he could run receiver routes, things like that. Is he a tight end or receiver? Like, bro, he don't look like neither. How about that? Because he's
That's
not catching
bars right there. Look at
anything.
Bosky with the bars, son.
So we're definitely gonna be looking at Raheem, you know, with squinted eyes, like, but you got Kirk Cousins right there, after each game that they lose, because they're gonna lose some games. Um, I have to
They're
agree,
gonna lose their first game.
I gotta agree with Left. I definitely see Tampa Bay as the crown jewel of that division, as they have been for several years. Um, I don't know what's going on in New Orleans.
Right,
It's
right.
it's it's becoming ridiculous down there. Spencer Rattler is your starting quarterback. That's crazy. You won't never hear that in any other team. Um, I feel like Carr retiring threw a monkey wrench in their plans. They were
Yeah.
scrambling. Um, they didn't really make a move in the offseason to bring in another quarterback because I'm like, the best you could do is Spencer. Like, that's crazy. And then when you look at, the other guys around him, I agree. It's crazy that um, Alvin Kamara is still on this team. He's been rumored to be to get traded for like the past 3 seasons, and he's still there. Um, you have what's the receiver name? Michael, the guy that got hurt. The receiver, the receiver that got hurt that's still on the team. What's his name?
New Orleans.
Oh no, is he gone? Oh no. They brought back Brandon
Brandon
Cooks.
Cooks, right?
Yeah, they brought back Brandon Cooks.
They got
You
they
got
got they got Chris Olave.
you got Chris Olave, who I wanna like, but he it's like all talk, no action. Like they hype
You
him
one of
up.
those Ohio State receivers, right?
Exactly, and we all know Ohio State receivers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then you also got the speedy guy, Rashid Shaheed.
Shaheed, yep.
Speedy guy.
Rashid Shaheed Muhammad from the Tribe Called
Yeah.
Quest.
So when I look at that, I'm thinking to myself, can Spencer Rattler get these guys the ball? I don't think so. I feel like it's going to be another failed season, another lost season, and once again, we're going to be hearing about Alvin Kamara may or may not be getting traded during the season. Watch, it's going to be the talk. That's going to be the Saints season. It's going to be, oh, is Alvin going to get traded? You know, and then when I
Could you
look at,
see could you see
yeah,
Kirk Cousins in New Orleans?
yes, hmm, yeah, but who would they give up? Because if I'm Atlanta, the first name coming out my mouth is Cameron Jordan.
Hmm.
I mean, if I know they need help on the defensive side, you need a quarterback, you know, or you can talk about, I don't know, Kool Aid
McKinstry.
Maybe Kool-Aid, can be, but they got to do something.
Right.
Spencer cannot be the quarterback for the full season, and the rookie Tyler, I don't believe in him neither.
They say because he's 6'5", you know what I mean? Well, so what?
So what? So and
Right. And
and what was the guy name? Brock Osweiler. He was like 6'5", 6'6", trash. What happened to him? Trash. He went to Houston, got a bag, and disappeared with it. So you being tall, that means nothing to me. That means nothing. And then we look at Carolina. The afterthought of the division of
mm,
the team in that division. But I wouldn't say that so fast. I think this may be improved year for Carolina. Um, Chuba Hubbard, like, what can I say? This guy is fantastic. Um, it's a shame that we may be seeing, his he's wasting his talent there. Um, he's not going to, really be that successful down there because I don't know what this organization is also doing. You got Xavier Leggett. Hopefully, this guy worked on catching the ball in the off season. He has
right.
so many drop passes. It's ridiculous. Um, they did bring in the guy Hunter Renfro.
Renfro. Yeah, he's been out
hmm
the league for a couple of years, right?
he has. I mean, they brought him in. You got the kid from Colorado. You got Jimmy Horn Jr. there. He made the team.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know,
You got
um,
the old running back from the Cowboys, Rico Dowdle.
Rigo Davo
Dowdle.
there. Yep. So that right there also changed the pace back. He can catch
Mm-hmm.
out the
Mm-hmm.
backfield. You know, um, the coach there. I just want to see more creativity. If they What I see from Bryce Young in the last like 4 or 5 games of last season, I saw it. It started to click some, and I see the potential there. Now, is that going to carry over to this season? I don't know, but I don't see him being 2 games. Only winning 2 games. I can see him
Right.
winning.
Right. 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 Right.
I can
I
see him
agree
winning
with you.
5, maybe 6 games. Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I can see that improvement. Um, and it will be, and that would be a big improvement from the 2, the 4. Now you're
Yep.
giving me
They had
6. So
5, 5, 7, 2, and 5. Yep. The last
yeah,
5 years.
so now if you could give me 6 this season, well, that's an improvement. You're going
Yeah. Yeah.
in the right
Yep.
direction.
Mm-hmm.
So I can see Bucks out. Number 1, Atlanta 2, Carolina 3, New Orleans 4. And the Bucks are the only team that's going to make the playoffs
Okay.
in that division.
Now we get the drum roll, the confetti, the rice. What else?
Ah.
The two, and all of that, the noisemakers, all that. Ladies and gentlemen, Browski and her NFC East prediction. Go ahead, Browski. It's on you.
Man,
It's on you.
this is such a crazy division. I don't know who I would pick.
Look at this.
Who
Browski got jokes.
who do I pick? Oh, wait a minute. I got a special guest for you. Hold on. Um, J- Jalen, who
Oh my
who would I pick to win the NFC East?
Making props.
Mhm. Right. Okay, okay, okay. I had to
Look
consult
at this.
with my
Lord.
Super Bowl MVP, about this NFC division. Um, man, it's hard for me to
Mm,
say, but
mm, mm. It's
of
hard
course
for
I
you to
think it's
say.
going to be my Philadelphia Eagles. We would definitely, it's going to be the first time in years that we're going to have back to back NFC East champions. You know, this is a division that we always switch um, who comes out on top. And I think this season will be one of the first seasons where we will have back to back NFC East champions in the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, number two, I'm not a hater. You know, I will give it to the Commanders. They have made some good moves in the right direction. Um, I still think they need time. I still think that, you know, they are already, you know, giving this kid Jalen Daniels like the reins of the NFL. Like this guy is going to be the next Lamar Jackson, Tom Brady. Like they already, if they acting like he just won the Super Bowl, where, bro, we just put 55 points on y'all. You know, so all my Commanders fan, I want y'all to remember that we put 55 points on y'all in the NFC Championship game. A game that you guys wasn't even supposed to be in at all. Okay? It's very one sided. Um, Other than that, you know, you got the Cowboys. You know, we talked about them earlier. The whole Michael Parson, you know, for you know, they that whole thing. Dak is back, you know, so they're very feeling very confident in themselves about Dak returning. You know, C.D. Lamb, and then they add George Pickens. And you'll think, oh, C.D. George Pickens, that's a hell of a wide receiver duo. But then I have to think about C.D. Lamb and George Pickens. Both
It's a
are
hell of a
divas.
wide.
Both are divas, okay? So if you're telling me that I wouldn't expect some type of chatter in the locker room, chatter online, speculations, you know, oh, it's always from some undisclosed cowboy source,
Anonymous source, right?
somebody close to the team,
Right. Let's
you
go,
know,
Browski.
you know, something's gonna come out, you know. Um, Something with, oh, I'm not getting the ball enough, oh, I should be wide receiver one, or my all-time favorite, they're both flip on Dak,
Mm.
you know, something like that. And then, you know, you're so focused on your receivers where you don't have no running game. And then on top of that, your offensive line is in shambles. The offensive line that once was the crown jewel of the NFL
Let's go, Browski.
now has become a sham of itself because you have the greatest owner slash GM making the calls during draft day, and he did not replenish that offensive line. You have guys who are old, banged up, on their way out the door. Who you got to replace them? Nobody. Who's your running back? You have none. It's crazy what's going on in Dallas. And when you think of the Cowboys, you know, you think of running backs, Emmitt Smith, you know, you
Tony
even had
Dorsett. Mm-hmm.
Tony Dorsett. You even had
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
uh,
Herschel Walker. Yeah, all types of
you,
dudes.
you
Yeah.
had all types of running backs, and now you're going in the league with Javante Williams and
Miles
Miles
Sanders.
Sanders. Come
And don't
on,
forget,
man.
you can't forget J. Don Blue. Can't
J.
forget him.
Dime Blue, like, let's be for real, you know, like I just don't know. Then you know, at the end we have the Giants, you know, who's trying to get their life together. They're
Mm-hmm.
still
Right.
recovering from the Saquon debacle. They still trying to recover from Daniel Jones. They let Tommy
Hmm.
DeVito go, and then you turn around. Next thing you know, you got Russell Wilson at the helm, and then right behind him, you got Jameson, Winston, and then you got your rookie prodigy in Jackson Dart. Now you're telling me at the beginning of the season that Russell is that guy. Russell's the guy until he's not the guy. And then how soon will they be calling for Jackson Dart to come out there to save them, you know?
Hmm.
Um we get another season of Malik Neighbors, you know. Now he has someone who can deliver the ball because Russell Wilson has a really decent deep ball, you know. Not only do you have him, you still have Darius Slayton, you still got Wendell Robinson there, and then you look in, your running game, you got Tyrone Tracy Jr., you got Devin Singletary, and then you got the kid Cam Skidaboo, you know?
Skidaboo.
Skidaboo.
That's your
So,
homie from Arizona State.
yeah, so now, we see how you guys look on the offensive side, defensive side, I can't really say anything that bad. Dexter Lawrence, you know, Kayvon Thibodeau,
Hmm.
those are Brian Burns. Like, you have respectable
Right.
guys on the
Right.
defensive side. My whole thing is, can you guys finally put it together? And we're going to see because in this division, this is one of the hardest played divisions in football. Like, we play each other hard. It don't matter if the Giants are 0-8 by the time they see us. It's going to be a tough game. It always starts out tough. So I'm not going to put anything past the Giants because they can mess around and play spoiler for somebody in this
Hmm.
division. You
Hmm.
know, but at the end of the day, my guys, the Philadelphia Eagles, will repeat as NFC East champion. I need for the league to put some respect on my guys' names. You know, they had the NFL top 100. They put Saquon as number one, Jalen Hurts at number 19, so on and so on. I feel like the AJ Brown disrespect has continued to go. I always pose a question about AJ Brown when people want to talk about top receivers in the league. I always say, well, I want you to point to one guy that shut him down and was the cause of him to have a bad game. And there's really haven't really been one. But when I look at Jamal Chase, Justin Jefferson, I have seen them get shut down by corners, and they be the reason why they had terrible games. But that's just my personal take on it. But once again, I got Eagles 1, Commanders 2. I'm gonna put Giants 3, Cowboys 4 because it's always F the Cowboys.
It makes you feel good saying that, don't
It does. It see the
it?
smile on my face.
Look at
You saw that?
Browski.
You
Yeah.
saw that? Go ahead, Jeff. How you feel?
um, Listen, man. I think Browski, puts it how it's supposed to be put. Her team is a Super Bowl champion. Call it how they see it. For me, I'm gonna start from the bottom and work my way up. Um, I think that the Micah Parsons thing is going to be a inspiration rather than a letdown for the Cowboys. I think that the Cowboys are going to get fired up. I don't know what's going to happen September 28th when Micah Parsons comes to town, but it's going to be crazy. Um, I don't fully trust the New York Giants. If you got, you know, two quarterbacks, they just named Jackson Dart the backup behind Russell Wilson, and Jameis is number three. So I feel like what Browski was talking about, I totally concur. They have a nucleus of something decent happen around them, but I think sometimes a team like the Giants get in their own way. Um, so I'm going to say the Giants are going to be fourth. The Cowboys are going to be third. The Washington Commanders, they gave the Eagles fits last year. My thing is with that situation is that nobody's talked about, and I'm going to bring it up. You know what always happens after a Super Bowl win? It's the notorious, infamous Super Bowl letdown. I don't see that with the Eagles. Why? Because of the simple fact, if you listen to a guy that wears the number one on his jersey in that green, he says you win the thing, it's over and done with. Look at this. Now, I think he's whispering in Browski's ear right now. You win the championship, they raise the flag, this thing starts all over. That's the mentality that I think it takes. Because I remember we were talking Browski, I remember talking about the Brady years with Tampa Bay. Once Leonard Fournette and them got that ring, there's a done deal. You've seen it. You want those guys, the Saquons and the AJ Browns and Devontae Smiths and the Grahams and those guys are kind of like compartmentalized because every team for the next 17, 18, 20 weeks that they play is going to be their Super Bowl. So again, um, those Washington, Philadelphia games are going to be great. I think Jaden Daniels has the same thing to worry about, even though they try to put some pieces around him. So I think that that's going to be for me to watch. Crucial to watch how these quarterbacks, not Jalen so much, because Jalen's been in two Super Bowls already, right? I'm watching Jaden Daniels. I'm watching Russell Wilson, right? Dak Prescott, not really so much, because the Cowboys might start off, 2-0, 2-1. Everybody jumping out the window. Oh my God, the Cowboys are back. They might, Thanksgiving time is back to normal. The Eagles are going to win the division. The Commanders are going to make the playoffs, guaranteed. Who you got in the Super Bowl, Browski?
Well, I got Eagles versus Bills.
I'm going to. I respect that pick. I'm going to say this. I'm going to stand on my square. I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to win the NFC. I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to play the Denver Broncos. People sleeping on the Denver Broncos. I think that might be my team I adopt this season, the Denver Broncos. I think that Sean Payton is cooking something. They found something, but and that's another one we got to watch, Kimmy, for the sophomore thing. You know what I mean? So we got to
Mhm.
keep an eye on that too. But I think
Mhm.
that I'll jump out the window because these picks are what Browski subject to change. So,
Always.
so again, at the end of the day, that's what we going with it. Browski saying the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are not going to beat the Eagles on September 28th. I'm saying
Nope.
we're gonna have a little wager on that one. We haven't come up with it yet, but we'll definitely have a little wager on
Yeah.
that. Um, so yeah, Philadelphia and Buffalo. Why you say Philadelphia? I mean Buffalo, Broskis. We know why you said the Eagles.
I feel like this may be Buffalo year to get over the hump of beating the Kansas City Chiefs. Um, I feel like for some reason I just don't believe in the Falcons. I mean, in the Ravens, and I think the Chiefs take a down. I think it's gonna be a down year for the Chiefs. It's not gonna be terrible, you know. They might not win 13 games. They may win 11. You know, it might be a little bit more of a dogfight in the AFC West. You know, with not only Denver but also with the Chargers. I don't think the AFC West is going to be a cakewalk for them anymore. So I definitely see that. Um, and I just feel like it would just be poetic for Buffalo to lose to every NFC East team in the Super Bowl. You know, it's our turn to beat them. I feel like I feel left out
Okay. And
that
they
we
lost to
haven't
some of them
beaten up on
twice.
field goals. You know, to these
Yeah,
guys.
yeah, absolutely. I like that. I like that pick, Browski. But I feel like I feel like how you feel about the Ravens is how I feel about Buffalo. Like
They're the
it's like
same.
they,
No, the same. The
yeah,
same
they
team.
can't get out their own way, and
Yeah.
I feel like teams that are on the outside looking in, they don't want it. The Cincinnati Bengals, you know what I mean? The Chargers, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Uh, uh, um, can we do we dare say the Miami Dolphins to a certain degree? You know what I mean? So
Who
again,
knows what's going to happen next season?
we always talking about the same team. We talk about Josh. We talk about Lamar. We talk about Patrick Mahomes. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And those other
Mm-hmm.
guys always say, "Yeah, what about us? What about you?
What
When you
about you?
gonna beat Patrick Mahomes?"
That's the question.
You know what I'm saying? So again, you could say that, oh, you're not giving my man no shine and you disrespect him. No, because you disrespect yourself. You the one out there got
Yeah.
to play against Patrick Mahomes and don't show up. Not
No,
me.
that's true. No, that's true.
You know what I'm saying? But I will say this though, in Lamar Jackson's defense, last year really probably could have been it. If Andrews didn't drop that pass, oh, that we don't know what
Yeah.
would have happened.
Yeah. Him
You
dropping
know what I
that
mean?
pass.
But if was a spliff, we if was a spliff, we'd all be Jimmy Cliff. But
For real.
you know what I'm saying? But we in the building, man. Down in sports, we gave you a comprehensive, in our opinion, in our view, um, look at the upcoming 2025 NFL season. Make sure y'all rock out with us this year. We're doing the picks. The picks have started out already. Sonny Cruz got his picks in.
Yeah, I seen him.
Twin Rob got his picks in. So we are off to a flying start. You make sure you get your picks in by 5 p.m. on Thursday. It feels good to say that, right, Bosky? 5 p.m. Not
5
next
p.m.
week, next month. 5
by
p.m. on
Thursday.
Thursday. The clock is ticking. You
Yeah.
hear that? Figure it out.
Quick
All right.
facts.
I'm gonna have my picks up. Browski gonna have her picks up.
Yes.
We're gonna switch up the pace a little bit. We talked about football for over hour and a half. Maybe we can, talk a little baseball before we get up out of here. Where you at with your Phillies, Browski?
Well, I'm at where I've been at for the past couple of weeks. You know, we still fighting for that third. I mean, for that first spot. We right now in the series with Milwaukee Brewers. We took game one yesterday. We play tomorrow. This is a very we got two very important series coming up. This one that we're currently in, and also against the Mets next week. You know, we lost 3 out of 4 up there. So now we come back home with another 4 game series that we definitely need to take advantage of to bury these guys. Right now we're 5.5 games back behind the Brewers. We got a 3 game series with them. Like I said, we took the first one. We got tomorrow and Thursday. You know, so hopefully we can sweep these guys and close that gap. Um, Other than that, you know, the race. Also, between us and the Dodgers, we're still about 2.5 games above them. Keep them out the second spot. I just want us to have a bye. We can stick if we can just stay within 1 and 2 spots. I'm fine. I feel like a bye week will be very beneficial for us. And we're just playing for basically playoff position right now. The season is coming to an end very fast.
Very fast,
know,
Kimmy.
very fast. Next minute, we will be talking about the playoffs because that's what
Right.
about 2.5, almost 3 weeks away. So,
Hmm.
um, how you Yankees doing?
I mean, you know, last week I was kind of like, all right, we'll see what happens. There's a lot of season left. We were 6.5, 7 games back in Toronto. As we speak tonight, 2.5 games back in Toronto.
Close the gap.
Um, we're down right now as we speak, 2-0 to Houston Astros in the top of the third. These next, 2 weeks for the Yankees are going to tell it because we got games with Toronto, Boston, Houston. So we got playoff teams in the
Hmm.
next 10, 15 days, next 2 weeks. So we're going to be able to see where the Yankees are because the test is coming up. All right, we did our business against the Cream Puffs. I'm surprised we lost that last game against the White Sox. We shouldn't have lost that. But hey,
Yeah.
man, things happen. Do I feel confident about my team going into the playoffs? Yeah, I feel confident about them. You know what I mean? But again, I'm going to really keep a eye on my team these next 2 weeks and see how we come out of this stretch because it's going to really tell where we are. You know
Yeah.
what I mean, and where we're not. So again, I think that's what's happening. So as far as the rest of the American League is concerned, Detroit's doing what they do. You know what I mean? Houston's doing what they do. But I can't be so concerned about them. I have to worry about what my team does, and we have a standard to keep up. Last year we was in the World Series, so
Hmm.
anything less than that is considered a bust. And then we might be looking at a different situation in 2026. Because again, I think that anything short of a World Series win, even a World Series loss at this point, because we lost the World Series last year, would have to
Yeah.
be a change. Would have to take place
Yeah.
and upstairs. National League, let's let that play out. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's right now feeling themselves. Got their little first place situations going on. But again, like you said, Kimmy, once October rolls around in those playoffs and those eyes get big, you know what I mean? Um, there's not going to be any torpedo bats to save you.
For real.
Saying.
Yeah.
So that's basically what I'm looking at. Like Browski said, is nice 3 weeks left in the season. It's about to get real for some teams. We buried some teams already. Colorado's buried. The Pirates are buried. The Cardinals are buried. Who else we buried, Browski?
White
The Florida
Sox,
Marlins, they're buried. You know what I'm
Marlins.
saying? Yeah. So again, some teams we're not even worrying about. They're just taking up space and playing out the rest of the season. Um,
Yankees.
Right now is where Browski's favorite part of the show. It's called Get Down on It. What is Yada Bear, aka High Ceilings, getting down on tonight?
I am getting down on the return of Rich Eisen on ESPN. Um, it's like old school. I remember watching him, Stuart Scott, Sports Center. Their Sports Center was always the best. He always had the best segments. So to have Rich back on ESPN, um, it's great. Great stories. He always had great guests right before football season start. It gives you old school feel vibes. But that's amazing. But here's the bad.
Mm-hmm.
The bad part of the new talent or the talent coming to ESPN is Cam Newton. Cam Newton now on First Take every day. It's terrible. Um, when Cam Newton first started his podcast, I thought it was interesting. I thought it was good. I thought he had original, he was using his original thought. But then that kind of started to switch when he started going crazy about this whole Jalen Hurts thing, like him, personal event dealing with that, and then him and Gilly going back and forth. So now he's on ESPN. He got a little contract with ESPN, quote unquote, taking Shannon Sharp's spot, you know? And the more that he talks, the more crazy he sounds. He sounds ridiculous. It's all hot takes, hot takes, hot takes. What can I say to be controversial? What can I say to get the people talking? And it's ridiculous, you know. And I'm just not looking forward to hearing him every day during the football season on first take, just saying nonsense out of his mouth. And I feel bad because I liked him in the beginning, but it's like he's trying to do that Shannon Sharp thing where it's not working for him. You know, he similar podcast. He got two podcasts. One he talk about sports. That one he doing interviews and stuff like that. It's the same thing with Shannon Sharp. I'm like, so Shannon Sharp has the blueprint because now you got your little ESPN check because of his downfall. You gain from his downfall, and I'm just not liking it. Like I don't like him on there. I think they need to find somebody else. They could just kept the rotating guests and just have Stephen A. And you know, I don't know. But I am happy to have Rich back on ESPN. Hopefully, he got a show from like 12 to 3, so should be interesting to see. I don't know what they're gonna do with Pat McAfee because Pat McAfee also come on 12 o'clock. So
Mm.
I feel like that's a little conflict of interest, you know, because Pat used to come on at this first take. So now I don't know where Rich gonna fit in that, but we'll see. What you getting down on?
I'm kind of on the same vein with you. I hate the idea that Gilbert Arenas and Skip Bayless are gonna have a show.
Oh God.
I'm not really understanding this tit for tat. I'm gonna work. You couldn't work out with me, so I'm gonna work out with this guy, and it turns into a free for all. What is Gilbert Arenas going to talk about when it comes to football? What is Skip Bayless going to talk about outside of LeBron when it comes to basketball? So I'm not really understanding the tenor of this particular mashup. Just think they just try to replace. Hey, we got to get a guy in here that has appeal on a Shannon Sharp level. I guess I don't know. Like Gilbert
I don't.
Arenas, like that's the best you could do. Is
Yeah.
Gilbert Arenas? Like you know what I mean? If and then not for nothing, if you don't, if you say something that he don't like, you might not walk out the studio. You might
There's
have a
always
hole in your
that.
ass. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
true.
So again, at the end of the day, man, I don't know what these media corporations are reaching, trying to get the snatch of all the clicks and the likes and the this and the that, when the substance is not substantial at all.
Mm-hmm.
So again, y'all work with that. Y'all do what y'all do, man. Hollywood loves you because that's what it's all about at the end of the day, anyway. You know what I'm saying? You looking for those sponsorships, and I'm not mad at that. But when it comes to hearing you talk about sports outside of your lane, I'm not really here for that. And I learned my lesson with that with Stephen A. when we talked on his show about baseball. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not it. So I'll run circles around you, my guy, straight like that. And I'm not just but it is what it is. I enjoy hearing Stephen A. talk basketball because that's where he's from. That's his thing, right? But when you start talking about baseball and nah, yo, because you're stiff with it. When those
Yeah.
dudes talk about, they don't really know what they're talking about. They try to talk in measured tones so they can be right. When you talk about the other sports that oh, it's relaxed. Like, yo, whoop de whoop. They can wake up out their sleep and talking. But other sports, when you're outside your comfort zone, it shows. Down in sports, we're about to get up out of here. Don't go to Nebraska. Make sure y'all check us out Make sure you get your picks in. You know what it is. We'll talk to y'all next week. And we are out like a scout on a new route. And Jalen Hurts says peace. In the Middle East, the Super is very near.